Alright, so not too long ago, I showed you guys how to solo the phase 1 of the raid boss in Dragon Champions, which is called SOLIUS. This is a mini boss. Tier 7 is one thing, Tier 8 is a whole other game. You need insane stats to pull this off, so in today's video, I want to go over each of these 5 heroes and how I got it done so that you can do the same thing. Let's jump right in. If you guys want to try out Dragon Champions, you can enter the promo code Bionic before level 15. This will give you free in-game loot, but also support this channel. I love Dragon Champions because you are guaranteed to get literally all the heroes in this game over time. You have instant battles and you have a 4 times speed multiplier when you're actually fighting in a match itself. Now, why would you want to solo the raid boss? Because you get a lot more damage, and if you get more damage, then you finish first place, you get better rewards. And you can't do that by only hitting the main boss. There's actually 3 mini bosses, and therefore, if you are able to solo some of them, you're going to hit really high numbers. So again, we did it with the tier 7. Today we're going to go over the tier 8. So let's check out a run first, which is fairly easy to understand. We have turn meter control and a whole lot of it. On certain of these heroes, we have it on the A1. Therefore, we always try and hit with the A1s on the main boss. There are 2 adds, which you also need to somewhat kill, but we're going to wait until our AoEs are up to do that. So instead here, what I'm doing is I'm making sure to hit all the turn meter reduction skills on the main boss. We also want to debuff the main boss to decrease speed. We have it on a couple different of our heroes, like for instance Master Duo over here, which has that on the A1. But if there's already a decreased speed on, which you see up there, then we're going to get turn meter control out of his A1. So I was a little bit slow here in the beginning of setting this up. This was actually my first attempt, but I'll also point this out. Some of the adds had been weakened before I got into that fight, which means that it's a little bit easier to gain control of the boss. If you do it correctly, the boss here will never take a turn. If he never takes a turn, he's never going to spawn the adds again. So it's relatively easy once they are down, but to actually set this up right off the bat can be a little bit challenging, okay? So you got to work with your clan. You actually got to work with your clanmates to get this done correctly. Right here, what you see me doing is, again, going for all that turn meter reduction on the boss itself. So then at some point with the AoEs, gradually we're going to be taking down the add, but as we're controlling the turn meter of the boss, and you'll see that he's never ever going to take another turn. We did take one in the beginning, but then at some point this is it. So yes, you do have to manual this. Unfortunately, if your heroes start casting their A2s, A3s and whatnot, you're going to miss a lot of turn meter control, and it is not going to work. Okay, so aside from that, and aside from being a relatively long fight, it is basically it. That is all you do for the entire fight. So you kind of need the team that you see here with the stats that we're going to check in a second. And there you go, guys. We're going to finish with a very reasonable amount of damage. Again, if you're able to do 100% of his HP, you're going to deal close to 3 million total damage. And now we can look at these heroes. So we still have Buff on the team because he has turn meter control on the A1. It's only a 30% chance of happening. We also really rely on Dice Throw, his A2, which does have a slow on it. So that can be pretty important as well. And also this right here, Tactical Advantage, to be able to swap turn meter with one of our allies can sometimes mean that, for instance, you do it on General Murdock to cycle through his A2 a little bit more often. So that is how I used it. For total potency here, we have 102% and the speed 228. I would say aim for these stats, and if you've watched my latest video on Dragon Champions, the artifacts play a crucial role in hitting these numbers. Even with full potency runes, it's not quite enough. We do have speed on the northeastern. For the southern one, we have crit chance, and for the northwestern, obviously potency. So there you have it. That is Buff. He's one of the legendary heroes, not easy to get. It is going to take some time for you to get him, but again, you are guaranteed to get one of the best heroes in the game, this guy over time. Then the next one is Caira, which is also still on this team. We kind of bring her in here for the ability block A1, which is important to control the 2 adds you saw in the beginning, especially if your teammates did not weaken them or kill them before you hit the main mini boss yourself. So that is pretty clutch because you can prevent them from going into taunt. If they go into taunt, then you can't hit the main boss and do the turn meter control, and that is basically almost all I do with her. We do the A2, the AoE basically, to try and kill the adds as well over time. So her potency is about 96% before that ability block, and her speed is about 191. Her runes are not that crazy, and even her artifact is not exactly maxed out, only extra 6.6% potency to add to this total, but still she's kind of important for this to work. Perhaps there are other builds out there that can work, most likely, but this is the one that I've been shown to use, and it's been working out just fine for the time being. The next one is Little Baddie. She's also still in there. You can now increase her A1 to level 7, which is huge because it means you're going from an 80% chance of decreasing turn meter by 25% to 100% chance, therefore removing a lot of the RNG involved. But this is basically all she does: A1, A1, A1 all the time. Her potency is maybe a little bit too high right now for me, 117%. But I would say aim for 110%. Apparently going over is kind of crucial here. Her speed is not that important, but 165. And so for the runes here, we do have speed for that one. We had shield for the one at the bottom, and then potency here for the northwestern. Caira again was kind of the same thing. This is always the same concept: speed, either sort of like crit chance, crit damage, shield in the case of this somewhat defender or tank, and then potency for the northwestern. This can be important as well. You do get taunt yourself if you want to control, let's say, the adds and remove the aggro or damage from some of your weaker heroes, and blindness can also come into play. But I didn't really use that skill during that run. Then the next one we're going to have is our Master Duo. So he's also really important here. Same thing with the potency, really high. We're sitting at 111%, 180 speed, which is also relatively important. Same concept here for the runes: speed. We have crit chance for the southern, and we have potency here for the northwestern. Obviously, this can be improved. And then for the artifact, literally a common artifact, but ranked up to rank 4 and fully leveled to level 30 for plus 18% potency. Again, very, very important. So he has a slow on the A1, but then a turn meter reduction if the target is affected by slow by 30%. Really important here. We also have another AoE to deal with the adds. And I didn't really use the A3 on him. Maybe I should have, but it worked without, so I'll leave it at that. And then finally, for the last one, is our General Murdock. So he's another one of the legendary heroes. Not easy to get. His turn meter control is off the A2. So if the target is afflicted by slow, decrease their turn meter by 50%. All right, so this is quite important as well. You do have a cooldown on this, but this is what I meant by using buff to cycle around General Murdock a little bit more often. As for the runes, again, same concept: speed. We have crit damage here, and then we have potency for the northwestern run. And then we have 103% for the potency, 223 speed, and for the rest of his skills, basically they're kind of like damage here, but this is great to also deal with the adds. So guys, there you have it. This is the team that I used to do this. I do want to give a big shout out, a huge shout out to our clan leader for providing us with sort of like the baseline of stats that you need to get this to work. All right, so the numbers you saw today in terms of speed and potency especially are sort of like the crucial things you should focus on if you want to replicate this exact team. All right, guys, so there you have it. That's my new solo, the phase 1 of the raid. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.